sound of rain, and someone exiting a house under a white sheet. Okay, picture this. It's July 2024, a quiet evening in bushy Hertfordshire. And then you see someone leaving a neighbor's house under a white sheet.
Yeah, and only later finding out that sheet concealed a crossbow, and it came after hours of just sheer horror inside.
Hey, welcome, gang. My name is Aaron.
And I am Ashley.
In this deep dive, we're looking into the tragic deaths of Carol, Hannah, and Louise Hunt.
We're going to piece together what we know based on the information available, and some of the details are, well, they're really disturbing.
Definitely. And Bushy, you know, it's a sort of affluent town near London, a commuter spot, really quiet, usually.
Exactly, which made what happened even more shocking for the community there. It all started breaking on July 9th, 2024, just before 7 p.m.
Right, 6:58 p.m. That's when Hannah Hunt, she was only 28, made an emergency call. She used her mom's phone.
She lived there with her mom, Carol, who's 61, her dad, John, and her sister, Louise, 25.
And on that call, she told the operator there was a man in the house.
Yeah.
And she actually said, "He shot us." It's chilling to think about her saying that, knowing what was happening.
So incredibly brave. Emergency services got there fast, like within 12 minutes.
But inside, it was devastating. They found Carol and Louise already dead. Crossbow injuries.
Yeah. And Hannah, they tried to save her, resuscitation attempts right there, but she died too.
The father, John, and another sister, Amy, they weren't home. They were spared that horror, thankfully.
There's an account from a neighbor that really captures the atmosphere.
How are you?
They were told by police to just go inside, lock up, and suddenly the streets just full of blue lights, sirens, even helicopters. Totally alien for that area.
Just pure chaos descending on this quiet neighborhood.
And then there's the connection to a public figure. The victims were the wife and daughters of John Huntford.
So BBC racing commentator, right?
That's him. He was actually away working, covering a horse race, and the last text he got, it was sent from Louise's phone around 5:52 p.m.
Asking when he'd be home.
Yeah, he texted back saying he'd be late because of the racing and then sent another one like, "Everything okay, sweetness?"
Oh, God. And he didn't know.
He had no idea. He found out later that the killer had read those messages after he'd already murdered Carol and just before he murdered Louise and Hannah.
Just unbelievable. So the investigation starts. And it sounds like Hannah gave them a huge lead right away.
Absolutely crucial. She sent a text to her boyfriend, Alex, just frantic.
What did it say?
Something like, "Call police immediately to mine now, Kyle here. Police now, he's tying us up."
Oh, my God. Kyle here.
And in the 9999 call, too, she identified him, said, "My sister's ex-boyfriend has come in and he shot us." She named Kyle Clifford, 26 years old, Louise's recent ex.
Wow. Even in that stage, she was thinking so clearly. Her courage is just astounding.
It really is. So naturally, the police focus immediately shifts to Kyle Clifford. He was from Enfield, North London.
So they searched there first.
Yeah, raided his family home, his brother's old place too. But no sign of him.
And they put out warnings, right? Because of the crossbow.
Big time. Helicopters, drones, a whole thing. And a public warning, don't approach him. He's armed with a crossbow, which is, a seriously dangerous weapon.
The manhunt must have been intense.
It was. And the next day, July 10th, they got a reported sighting, Lavender Hill Cemetery, near his home in Enfield.
Okay.
Armed police went straight there. When they confronted him, he actually fired the crossbow at the officers.
All way. He fired at them.
He did. The officers then shot him. He was taken to hospital, survived, but he was paralyzed, chest down.
So the violence didn't even stop when confronted by police. And his family background. There was something there, too, wasn't there?
Yeah, tragically, his brother, Bradley, was actually already in prison for murder.
Murder? What happened?
A road rage incident back in 2017. Killed someone. And apparently Louise had been really bothered by Kyle's attitude towards it.
How so?
She felt he showed, no remorse for what his brother did. Saw it as a real character flaw. It does make you wonder about, his upbringing.
Definitely raises questions. And Kyle himself, he had a short army career.
Very short and not exactly successful. He joined in 2019, but spent most of his time, 286 days at home, supposedly due to illness. When he left in 2022, his commanding officer basically wrote him off, said his character was wholly unsuited for military employment. Self-centered, essentially.
Doesn't sound good. Sort of fits a pattern, maybe.
It seems that way. After the Army, he worked briefly installing fire and security systems. Then he got a job as a security guard.
Okay.
But he got fired from that not long before the murders. Officially, we don't know why, but there were rumors.
Rumors about what?
About misogynistic comments he'd supposedly made about female colleagues. If that's true, it adds another really grim layer to the picture of him.
Yeah, it really does. Digging into these details, trying to understand the sequence of events, it's complex but important. If you find this kind of in-depth look valuable, you should check out my channel, Dead Quiet Crime Podcast, for more deep dives like this.
So his relationship with Louise Hunt, it started back in December 2022, met on Bumble, the dating app.
Right. And it seems serious for about 18 months.
On the surface, yeah. But it turns out he was also seeing 2 other women he'd met through work. Louise apparently had no idea.
Wow. So deception right from the start, potentially?
Yeah.
And the Hunt family, how did they feel about him?
Well, they seemed to try and include him, took him on holidays, Christmas gatherings, that sort of thing. But friends later said that privately they found him kind of arrogant, odd.
But they still made the effort for Louise's sake. Maybe.
Ably. Trying to support her, see her happy. It speaks volumes about them, really.
So what led to the actual breakup?
It happened in late June, after they attended a wedding together. According to reports, Kyle actually bragged to Louise in front of other people about being unfaithful with other guests there.
He bragged about it to our face.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, Louise was devastated and frankly embarrassed. She told him later his behavior was belittling, and that was it. The relationship was over.
Good for her for standing up to that. Was it the first sign of trouble?
Apparently not. Investigators found older messages showing he'd tried emotional manipulation before. When she tried to end things this time, he apparently went through stages of defiance, pretending he didn't care, then begging her when she wouldn't back down.
But she held firm this time. Friends called the relationship unhealthy, controlling.
Exactly. Her last text to him was really clear, said she needed space for her own sanity and health.
A very clear boundary. How did he react then?
This is the really deceptive part. His initial reply seemed okay, almost reasonable. He thanked her for being clear, talked about a healing process for both of them, even offered support.
Oh, wow. So she might have thought, okay, he finally gets it. It's over. Cleanly.
Exactly. A total, tragic, false sense of security. Because it was anything but okay.
So what happened next? How quickly did things change?
Incredibly quickly. Just 4 days. 4 days after that breakup text exchange, he started searching online for crossbows.
4 days. That's immediate.
And 3 days after that, he actually bought one. A compound crossbow, bolts, even a thing to help pull the string back. He also ordered an air pistol, but didn't even wait for it to arrive.
The speed of that escalation is terrifying. Just switching from healing process to buying weapons.
And the online searches weren't just weapons. They show clear premeditation.
Like what else?
He bought duct tape, petrol. He even searched how to unplug a smoke detector.
Oh, God. So planning to restrain someone, potentially start a fire, disable alarms. This was all thought out.
It certainly looks that way. And maybe the most disturbing part, on the morning of the murders, July 9th, he went to a garden center with his family.
He went shopping with his family hours before. That's almost impossible to process.
It really is. Okay, so the timeline of the attack itself, he leaves his house around 1 p.m.
Does he go straight there?
No. First, he searches online for horse racing times, presumably checking John Huntford wouldn't be home.
Calculated.
Then he gets to the Hunt's house, tells Carol he's just there to drop off Louise's things.
The excuse he'd planned.
Right. And then, sometime around 2:45 p.m., he attacks Carol, stabs her, kills her.
And Louise wasn't even in the house.
No, she was working in her grooming pod in the garden, had no idea what just happened inside. After killing Carol, Kyle goes back to his car.
To get the crossbow.
Yeah, right? Brings it back, concealed under that white sheet a witness later saw. Just meticulous in a horrifying way.
So Louise comes back into the house. When?
After 4 p.m., she walks in, and investigators believe she was then restrained with the duct tape he'd bought.
Oh, no. So she was trapped with him? For how long?
For about 3 hours, alone in the house with him, knowing her mother was likely dead. It's unimaginable.
And there was activity on her phone during that time.
Yeah, investigators found evidence her messages were read, her Instagram was accessed, and that search about the smoke detector, that happened during this period too.
And the text to her dad asking when he'd be home, sent while she was restrained.
It seems almost certain. Just before 6 p.m., likely under duress, forced by Kyle.
And then Hannah comes home.
Shortly before 7 p.m., she must have known instantly something was terribly wrong. Her first reported words were, "What's wrong with you?" directed at Kyle, then screams.
It's just awful.
Yeah.
How long after that did he leave?
He left the house at 6:55 p.m., just minutes after Hannah arrived.
And 2 minutes later.
2 minutes later, at 6:57 p.m., Hannah makes that 999 call. Even after she herself had been shot with the crossbow, she still made the call that identified him.
Unbelievable courage until the very end. So when the police finally catch up with Kyle and he's in hospital, they interview him.
They do, and they have a mountain of evidence by this point. CCTV, phone data, the doorbell camera footage of him arriving, even notes he'd saved on his own phone.
What did he say when they presented all that?
Very little, actually. He said, sorry, and what I have done is atrocious.
That's it, an apology.
Pretty much. To most other questions, just no comment, except he did admit one thing.
What was that?
He admitted he started planning the murders right after he got Louisa's final breakup text.
So he confirmed the premeditation.
Explicitly. They also found a letter on his phone addressed to his family.
What kind of letter?
Full of self-pity, really. Painting himself as a victim, talking about wanting to be at peace, saying his family wasn't to blame.
Blaming circumstances, not himself.
Seems like it. There was one line asking his family what they could have done to prevent this. When the police asked him about that specifically, he refused to explain. Just another layer of manipulation, maybe.
Chilling. So eventually he goes to court. Did he plead guilty?
He pleaded guilty to the 3 murders, yes, and the weapons charges, but he denied raping Louise.
He denied the rape, even though he admitted the murders. Why?
It's hard to fathom. The prosecution said the DNA evidence was overwhelming. They had an expert testify that it couldn't realistically be explained by consensual sex they'd had like 16 days before.
So the evidence was strong.
Very strong, according to the prosecution. But he still denied it, forced a trial on just that charge. He didn't even show up for it.
Refused to attend his own rape trial.
Yep. The jury didn't take long, though. Found him guilty in about 45 minutes.
Wow. Swift. And the sentencing.
The judge didn't hold back. Talked about his jealousy, his self-pity, his, quote, profound contempt for women. He got 3 whole life orders for the murders.
Meaning he'll never get out.
Never. Plus another 30 years for the other charges, including the rape. John Hunt's victim impact statement was just incredibly powerful. So much grief, but also pure anger.
I can only imagine.
He said point blank there would be no release for Kyle and basically wished eternal suffering upon him. You felt every word.
Absolutely devastating. This whole case is just so dark. A terrible outcome born from jealousy, rejection, and entitlement.
Yeah, you see this progression, don't you? From what looked like, on the surface, a relationship, albeit a troubled one, to this incredibly calculated, brutal violence when faced with rejection.
His actions just ripped a family apart, traumatized a community. The impact is immeasurable.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? About human behavior, how complex it is, and how vital it is to recognize those red flags in relationships. The control, the manipulation.
And maybe how society views rejection and control. Could that play a part in these extreme cases? That's a difficult question.
And that denial of the rape charge, even after admitting the murders. What does that tell us about his mindset, his motivations? It leaves this really disturbing question mark.
It really does. Thank you for joining us to unpack this incredibly difficult story.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us through this tough deep dive.
If you found this exploration valuable and want to join us for more deep dives into compelling topics and cases like this, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.